share something that I just read in hopes that this will help you. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. And I want to talk about this article that I just looked at that I really like, and it has to do with the 6 worst things you can say during a job interview if you actually want to get the job. So picking these 6 things or saying any of these 6 things, according to the person writing the article, and I tend to agree with what they're saying, will keep you from getting the opportunity. So as a person who hires a lot of people, I can actually approve this message. So I thought I would share some of it. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. The Black Financial Channel is Black owned, and it is part of our Building Black Media. We're building Black media so that Black people can have a voice. So if you could, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you sign up at theblackfinancialchannel.com. I go live on this channel several times a day, and I don't care if 1 million people are watching or if 2 people are watching. Either way, my goal and my job as a finance professor is to share knowledge and information that will help you be successful and to make money. So here's what I want to talk about. I was reading this article today about 6 things you should not say if you want to actually get the job. If you go and apply for a job and you say any of these 6 things, it will significantly reduce your probability of being hired. Now, I know that we don't talk a lot about getting jobs around here. You know, at the Black Business School, we talk about creating jobs, but also we have to be realistic. There are some of you who may not be exactly where you want to be, but you're headed there, right? You know, you're headed toward the creation of financial security. Some of you at some point are going to be able to stop working for anybody ever for the rest of your life. Some of you may be starting businesses where you're a contractor, right? Maybe if you build websites, for example, you're looking for clients to hire you to build websites or whatever the case may be. Well, either way, anytime you sit down and you talk to a person about a partnership or getting them to give you money for a service, you're kind of applying for a job. So even when you're an entrepreneur, you're still applying for a job. You're asking your customer, hey, let us do the job, right? So I think this is appropriate for everybody. And so let me just go ahead and read some of this. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and also shout out what city you're from. I always like to see what cities you guys are from. Okay, so here's number one. Number one on the list is this. It says, if you plan on getting the job, you shouldn't say that you are a motivated self-starter. Now, I thought that was a little bit strange. That was probably the strangest one on the list. I didn't see anything wrong with saying that you're a motivated self-starter. I personally respect that. I like people that are motivated self-starters. Now, here's what they say, and then I'll kind of put it in a context for you. They said, I've heard so many candidates say this in response to questions. It's a widely overused answer. And if you find yourself saying it, the best case scenario is that your interviewer will ask you to elaborate. The worst case and more likely scenario is that they'll be unimpressed because they've heard it so many times and they'll move on. Now, here's the thing. I don't know. I think that being a motivated self-starter is a great thing, given that I tend to like people. I know when I hire people, I like to hire people that are motivated and able to work without me telling them to work. I hate managing people. I hate telling them what to do. I hate having them get in their face and say, why are you not doing the job that we agreed on? And it's hard. I mean, it's really hard when you hire people, because then you have to let people go. You bring people in, you work together, they get comfortable, and then you part ways, and it can get messy. I mean, I've had some stuff get real messy when I cut people off, and the next thing you know, they go create a whole YouTube channel to talk about how much they hate Boyce Watkins, but they didn't tell you that they violated their contract. They didn't tell you that they didn't do their job. They don't tell you all the bad things they did to cause it to happen. All they say is Boyce is a mean guy. He's pretending to be nice. He's really mean because he fired me. Well, you got fired because you got fired for a reason. I mean, I talk about it, but that's usually what's going on. And because the thing is that when you build a business, you have to be with people that can work with other people. You have to be with people that can be good teammates. And I think that's really important. So when I hear that comment, if I were to take that motivated self-starter comment in a negative context, most times I think it's pretty positive. But a negative context would be somebody who can't be a team player, somebody who says, I'm just going to run off and do what I want to do, and I don't care about the team. And people like that don't fit well within an organization. So if you're hiring people, you got to find people that can that will motivate themselves to work hard, but they also understand they're part of a team, that they have to consider other people's feelings. They have to talk to other people, let them, communicate with others, let them know what they're doing, things like that. So good team players who resolve conflicts well are great people to have on a team. People who create conflict or people who are all about themselves and just want to run off and do their own thing all the time are not the best people to have on the team. So that's my thought when I heard this comment. Number two is in 5 years, this is another comment they said that you shouldn't say in a job interview. In 5 years, I hope to be in your position. Now, their interpretation is that when somebody says in 5 years, I hope to be in your position, their interpretation is that you're planning on leaving, that you're planning on using them up, get what you can out of the company, and then move into another company. And that's true. A lot of companies don't want to put time and energy into developing someone and then have that person just take off, and I know that's true also. I know that if someone comes along, like I have a lot of people that have reached out to me to where they want to get on my YouTube channel or they want to come and work with me or whatever. And the problem is that some people want to get what you have, right? They're like, okay, I want to work on this so I can get money or so I can get famous or whatever. And then I'm going to go and do my own thing or whatever. But the problem is that when a company hires a person, they're making an investment in you. They're making an investment in terms of developing you. It may be marketing you or marketing your products or whatever, and they want to get a return on the investment. So it's just like dating. If somebody thinks you're going to sleep with them, hit it and quit it, some people may say that's not for me because if I invest in you, I expect you to stick around. So I can see that concern. Now, my concern with a comment like that, in 5 years, I hope to be in your position, is that when you talk about your boss that way, don't ever think that your boss is, don't ever think that your boss can't be jealous of you, right? Don't ever think you can go into that corporate office and tell your boss, I want to have your job, and not have your boss say, dang, well, but I kind of want my job, right? Now, if you let your boss know that you're going to help your boss look good, then they're going to love you. If you let your boss know that you're going to help them achieve important goals, they're going to love you, right? Like, so for example, most people that hire other people, you need the people that work for you. When you have good teammates that really have your back, you need them as much as they need you. And eventually your time will come. If you're working for a decent person who understands reciprocity, eventually they're going to take care of you. But if they feel that you're coming in to get what they've got, or to just sort of stick around till you can kind of creep into their spot, then a lot of people aren't going to support that. So I think the best way to get what you want is to help other people get what they want. So if I come in and say, okay, I know what you're trying to accomplish, I can help you solve a problem. I can help you achieve a goal. I can help you fill a void. Well, your boss will love you. Whoever, it may be a boss or a client or anybody, because remember, a client is just a boss in a different format. But you have interchangeable bosses when you have clients. But it's the same idea. Figure out what people need and what they're trying to do, and tell them, like, I can help you do this, and then they're going to love you. But if you come in thinking about you and what you're going to get and how you're going to get ahead and all this other stuff, ain't nobody got time for that. Seriously, ain't nobody going to pay you to hook yourself up. No one is going to pay you to hook yourself up. You got to do that on your own. Let me see here. Can I commit 2 years or 5 years? Okay. Let's see here. Is it good to be upfront about your time commitment? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's good to kind of set expectations. Like, expectations are a big deal. Sometimes, maybe you're expecting this and they're expecting that, or vice versa. And I think that communication helps with that. So I think kind of getting real clear layout of what the expectations are on both ends can go a long way. So anyway, let me keep going. Let's see here. The next one is number 3 says, I didn't like my previous boss. That's a big one, because if you come into a situation and you are talking crazy about a person that used to pay you, or that you used to work with, or that you were allegedly loyal to, that makes you look really bad. It makes you look really bad when you once pledged allegiance to this side, and now you're going to the other side and you're talking terrible about the side that you were just on. Because a strategic person is going to say, okay, if you're doing this to them, then you would do this to me too. That means if you get mad at me, you're going to go to somebody else and say horrible things about me, or share our company secrets, or steal from our company, just like you stole from the last company. So your character and your integrity is heavily, and this is why I say, even in relationships, when you see people in a relationship, I always look at people sideways if they used to be in love with somebody and all they can do is say negative things about that person, because that tells you exactly that gives you an idea of how they're going to deal with you. So Like I had a friend that married a lady who was divorced. And I said, what made you decide that she was the one? And he said, I listened to how she talked about her ex-husband, and she did not bash him or say things that were overly horrible and abusive. She just said it wasn't a good fit. He's a good guy, but I had to let it go because of this, this, and this. But he's not a terrible person. And he said, that's when I realized she's not a bad person. She's not going to, if we get a divorce, she's not going to come try to destroy me or ruin me, right? So it's almost like if you date ladies, if you date a guy who says, I used to love her, but my baby mama, if I see her, I'm going to kill her. I'm going to choke her. I'm going to beat her up, right? Well, that means that he beats women, right? That means if a woman makes him mad, he's going to beat her ass. So you don't want to date a man like that, right? You want to date a man who has the maturity to kind of move on or whatever, because there's always going to be disappointments. There's always going to be disagreements. There are two types of people. There are the people that just kind of move on and say, you know what, that was between us. That was what it was. Now it's time to move on to something else. And then there are the people who scream and holler and act abusive and go crazy and say terrible things about that person. And that tells you about their character. That tells you how they operate. Because believe me, Lord knows, if I ever had a screaming fest about some of the people that have disappointed me, then I'd be talking all day. There's 1,000 stories I could tell, but you'll never hear them because as a general code of conduct, your integrity is measured by not just how you treat your friends, but how you treat your enemies. So keep that in mind. So the next one is number 4. My biggest weakness is that I'm a perfectionist. They said, if you say that my biggest weakness is that I'm a perfectionist, then that's going to make you look bad also. And basically what they're claiming is that when you say that your biggest weakness is that you're a perfectionist, that basically you're admitting that you're too weak to admit your weaknesses. That basically, you're a person who can't come to terms with your own BS. You're a person who really thinks you are perfect, and nobody's perfect. They know that, right? And the worst people, the most imperfect people, a lot of times are the people who think they're perfect because they never get better. They never see themselves as a work in progress. They never try to figure out how they can do things better. They think the world is imperfect, right? I'm perfect. The world is not. Therefore, it's everybody else's fault. People like that don't take responsibility. So finding a way to maybe survey people who observe you and work with you and have them lay out your weaknesses is the best way for you to grow. So you can at least get a sense of how people of different mindsets view you, right? And then that way you can say, okay, I guess for people like that, I come off this way. For people like that, I come off that way. So for example, I'm a person who cares about people, but I'm not when it comes to handling business, I get very serious. Like I'm a very serious person. If you waste my time, then I'll just, say, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't have time to waste. Right. So I can become very stern, very direct, just very, pretty hardcore. And what I realize is, for example, is that sometimes that can hurt people's feelings. Right. When they think that, it's all pleasure and it's all fun and we're friends. And then I say, no, this is business too. Like what you're doing is screwing me. Like this is gonna cause us to lose a lot of money. So I can't do this anymore. Then they're like, wait a minute, I thought we were friends. Like, yeah, we were friends, but this is business. And I learned over time that for sensitive people, you got to be real careful about that because they're gonna take it really personally and like you hurt their feelings or whatever. But really, it's just part of who I am. But at the same time, it's a blind spot you have to pay attention to, right? So that's an example. I use myself as an example on that. But I would say that for everybody, you have some kind of weakness, and I encourage you to find out what those weaknesses are so you can see those as works in progress, and then you can state the weakness and then talk about ways you're working through that as opposed to just pretending like you have no weaknesses at all. Nobody's going to believe me if you say you don't have any weaknesses at all. Let's see here. The next one is number 5. Can you tell me more about the company? So if you go to an interview and you ask the person interviewing you to tell you more about the company, and you get the impression that you haven't done your research, that's a death knell, right? That pretty much says a lot about whether or not you do your due diligence, whether or not you do research, whether or not you think things through, whether or not you're a smart person, whether or not you're prepared for things. It really gives an insight into how you do your job. And I can just tell you, if you hire someone that operates that way, you probably don't want to do that. You're going to regret that, right? Like the best people to hire are people that are in tune with the organization's goals that can help you actually achieve the goal. And also people that generally just independently have a strong work ethic that has nothing to do with whether or not you tell them to do their job, right? There are some people who will work hard if you make them do it. And then there are some people who work hard just because that's who they are. That's how they're built, So I'll give you an example. In our house, we hired this kid who's about 21 years old to fix stuff around the house. and he would just fix stuff. And I would say, hey, can you fix this? And he would go and he would say, well, I didn't really know how to do it, but I figured out this and I looked up that and I figured out how to set it up this way and this that way. And I loved it because I said, wow, this kid, he really cares about getting the job done. And he solves his own problems. He doesn't come to me with an excuse and say, oh, well, I couldn't get it fixed, but I need you to pay me anyway. Or yeah, I know I said I'd get it done by 4 o'clock, but I couldn't. Right. He solved the problem. He would figure it out. And I love that. And I was happy to pay him. I was like, thank you. You've taken like a headache off of my skull by solving this issue instead of coming to me 1,000 times telling me that you can't figure it out. Right. And that's one of the things that I think people should realize is that if you ever want to work with people that like I'm just tell you like this in this world, in my opinion, you got people that do a lot of yapping about what they're going to do. And then you got people that actually get things done. You get people that talk about how they're going to make money, and then you get people that actually do make money. People that make money and really get things done are typically very serious people. They can quickly identify the difference between, the real stuff and the BS, right? They don't have a lot of time for BS. Like, you schedule a meeting and then you just forget and don't show up. They may never meet with you again. Or people that, or if you waste their money or their time or whatever, they're not going to mess with you very much. So ultimately, what I would say is that if you're dealing with people that are real, then you should be very careful about making sure that you show up and you're real with them and you're really delivering instead of delivering excuses. And the thing about it that I've noticed is a lot of times they may not even tell you why they stopped working with you. They just may stop. They just may pick up on, the fact that you can't deliver, and they'll just move on and they'll just say, oh, well, sorry, the position was filled or we decided to go in a different direction or whatever, when really it's because you didn't do what you needed to do. So you just got to kind of know the difference. And I encourage anybody in here also, if you're trying to be a person that really achieves your goals, you got to have a level of seriousness that exceeds most people. 99% of all people dream of one day becoming rich or famous or whatever. And that 1% that actually do it, there's a difference there in terms of actually delivering on the things that they promise themselves that they're going to do and the things they promise other people they're going to do. So what I have found is that, when you say things, when you show me that you're not prepared or you don't know how to show up to meetings on time or you give me excuses instead of giving me results, that kind of says to me like, okay, we're operating on different frequencies now. And some people have time to play around. Some people don't. I don't like to mess around. Let me see here. So Yukala says, oh, wow, this is about an interview. I used to follow Dr. Boyce in 2015, 2016, but back then he was never a big advocate on working for people. I don't look the same. Well, I don't look the same because I used to be fat and I'm not fat anymore. I'm not really so much talking about being an employee, although some people choose to be employees and I don't judge that. I'm really talking about you finding your bliss, whatever that is, right? So for some of you, you may like your job and you may want to stay on your job. And I'm not here to tell you to change that. I'm telling you to find your happiness, right? So if your job is keeping you from happiness, then you need to leave that job. But if your job is making you happy, then that's where you need to stay, right? And the other thing too is that most Black entrepreneurs I have observed are people that they quit their job, but then maybe they get clients, right? Or they become a consultant and they're working with clients. Well, if you're working with clients, then that's kind of like having a new boss. It's just a different scenario, right? So the same way you please the boss is the same way you please the client. Or maybe you're a contractor. Maybe you build websites for companies or whatever. Well, you're going to have to do an interview as a contractor, and they're going to ask you a lot of similar questions and figure out if they want to hire your company for the contract. So sometimes you can be an employee in an employee-like situation, even when you own the business, even when you're independent, even when you're a contractor. Does that make sense? You get what I'm saying? So that's what led me to cover this article. And then here's the other thing too. When you get to the other side of that fence, when you become the owner of the business, you got to know what to look for too, because companies waste a lot of money hiring the wrong people. So you got to know, who fits. You got to know what your core values are. You got to know who's really going to do the job and who isn't. You have to know how to vet people out so you don't make a long-term commitment to somebody who's going to just, screw you over. So Gene says, I have a job interview this week. Yeah, I wish you the best of luck. And I can really say this one universal truth I found as a person who, I'm usually the boss. Like in most deals I do, I'm the boss. Every now and then I might be a partner or whatever, but I'm not, my employee days are were long behind me. But one thing I can say is that if you show that you understand what the boss is looking for and you deliver that. Like if you know what the boss's goal is and you are helping the boss achieve that goal, then you become invaluable to the boss. That's when you can write your own ticket. If you're just there to get your check, like if you're just doing your job just to get your money and you don't care what the results are, like you don't care if the company wins or loses or whatever, then you're not going to be that important to the people that you work with. Because I know I can identify that in a second. Anybody who's like, oh, I did my job, can I get paid now? Right. And they don't care about the quality of the work. They don't care if we actually achieved our goal or not. They don't care if the company made money or not. People like that are far less valuable than the people who are really in tune with what you're trying to accomplish. Right. So that's kind of a tough thing to do. But if you can do it, it works really well. The last question they say you should never ask is, what do your perks and benefits look like? When you start asking about perks and benefits and paychecks and all that, it makes you look a little bit like a drug addict who is I don't know, cleaning the kitchen so you can get more crack. Like, okay, so when can I get some crack? When can I get some crack? Oh, can I you go give it to me at 5 o'clock, right? It kind of looks a little bit desperate. It looks like you're focused on the wrong thing. It looks like you're trying to eat your dessert before you get to the vegetables. It looks like you are not serious about the job. So I wouldn't ask about perks and benefits and all that until you're well into the job interview process. At the very least, you want to make sure that you let them know that you can do the job and create a demand, right? Create a demand by showing how great you're going to be on the job. And then once they have a demand for you and they see your value, then you can have a conversation about all the other stuff. But if you start talking about the dessert before you eat the dinner, that's like going up to a woman and that I don't even know and asking her, something private about the bedroom that I shouldn't be asking until I become her man. So that's the best way I can describe it. I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. And I can just generally say that a big part of success in life I found is knowing how to partner with the right people and also knowing how to help people accomplish their goal. And it's hard. It's really hard because, when you do start your business and you're hiring people, there's some people you have to let go. And some of those people, sometimes it can get sad. It can be messy or whatever, but you're constantly bringing people in and shedding people that are maybe disruptive or not doing what they're supposed to do, things like that. So it's that's probably the part I like the least about it, because I know like sometimes I every now and then somebody will come to me and say something like, oh, so and so did a blog post and said you were really mean. And I'm like, yeah, I had to be mean because that person violated her contract or that person did something illegal and I had to fire them. But of course, I can't go talk about that because that would not be because I have to focus on trying to take care of the people that are around me. So it's tough, but everybody, you can do it. And I wish you the best. And I hope this conversation helped you. And that's it. Those are my 2 cents. Okay, so I'm going to get out of here. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Let's see. Gene says, my sister assists me like this whenever I'm about to interview. Yeah, well, you know what? If you start a business with your sister or you work with your family members, you have a relative you can trust, that's the best in business. I mean, if you have a good relative who's reliable, that works hard, that will work with you, that has some skill, that's the best business partner you can have because relatives work with you for reasons that go beyond the money. They're not going to go and screw you just so they can make more money. They're going to actually be loyal to you because they love you. And there's no replacement for that. I can just say that for sure. All right, guys. So I'm going to go. I hope this helped. And please have a good night. And also, if you're interested in reducing your economic dependence on the corporate plantation, the Black Business School is hosting the Black Wealth Bootcamp that starts on January 7th. And the Black Wealth Bootcamp is a 6-week masterclass on how to reduce economic dependence on the corporate plantation. So it's for people that either want to quit their jobs or never want to have to look for a job again, or if you want to keep your job, putting yourself in a financial situation where you don't need that money, where you can quit your job if you want to. And so, we have things like the FIRE movement, what is it? Financial independence, retire early. This is the Black version of the FIRE movement, except better because I base it on economic theory and that a 4-year-old can understand, and it can help you achieve your economic goals. So feel free to go to blackwealthbootcamp.com. It's very popular. There's a money back guarantee. I think you're going to like it. You can also get a 30% discount. So go to blackwealthbootcamp.com. The URL is right there on the screen. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Have a good night, and hit the thumbs up button on your way out if you could, and I'll talk to you later. Take care. Peace.